What's going on, fellas? Happy New Year. I know I've been missing a lot of TSX content. Been really busy with my Sentra, but here you go. We got a couple upgrades for you today. Sorry, the light is so bright. But in any case, we got a couple upgrades for you. I really kind of got a little message from somebody like Dwayne at our compound, who really told me if you track the TSX, you'd find out how much faster than the Sentra it is in its full piggy weight, right? So I was actually kind of interested by that, and I was really intrigued. As I told you guys before, I have a full cooling system upgrade for it, and sway bars and such. So I was already kind of leaning towards tracking it at some point. So hopefully this year is going to be the year that I track it. So let me show you what I got as far as getting it a little bit more track ready. So here we have a couple set of Hyperco coils. So I'm gonna upgrade my standard Fortune-Auto coils to the Hyperco upgrade thanks to my buddy over at Cygnus Performance. Jeff over at Cygnus was able to go ahead and order these up. Now the good thing about Jeff is he gets to have like custom colors. He's one of their biggest distributors. So I'm still going with the 16K, 9K that I already have with the car. I'm just expecting to have more of a true and linear spring, right? So let's add a little more performance to it by adding some more spring into it, or a better track-oriented, spirited driving spring, right? So again, Hyperco, fantastic spring. Yeah, I could have gone with Swift. I have Swifts on my B13, I have Swifts on my P10, I had Swifts on my G20, I've had Swifts on everything else, so I figured I'd try something a little bit different. Jeff definitely convinced me into getting the Hyperco upgrade. I shouldn't do it. Hyperco's been around for a long time. You're gonna see it in a lot of automotive racing series, a lot of big time cars, a lot of serious cars, a lot of professional racing teams use Hyperco springs on their stuff. So I figure if they can use it, we can use it, right? So I always figure if you can watch a lot of what's going on in motorsports, you're gonna learn a lot of what may benefit your car depending on what the needs of your car are. So I try not to use anything Taiwanese for the most part, right? So if I can buy the best that I can, why not? I mean, again, the car's gonna make you happy, right? So whatever you can afford, again, it's always good. But if you can shell out the couple extra dollars, this is pretty much on the same price as the Swift spring. So, and if you guys ever want to order Fortune-Auto TSX Coilovers with any sort of upgrade, you're always welcome to hit me up. Email us at blipshipapex@gmail.com. I'll put the email up top. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the whole suspension system one by one. My lovely assistant AJ, who may sound a little feminine today because it's actually my daughter, is going to be helping me remove some of the suspension components. I found out that, move that away, my RE71Rs are corded. So they're corded pretty bad. Not very safe. Luckily, we're all kind of cooped up in our homes and quarantining, so I will be purchasing new tires. I'm not sure what I'm gonna get. These are 200 treadwear. I'm gonna go ahead and see what my better options are out there, and then go ahead and get that done, get an alignment done, and be set to go. The coilover's off. No big deal. Obviously, as you guys may know, if you have a TSX 5 at the top, what is 14 that goes across the spindle, or whatever you want to call it on a Honda. Excuse my Honda lingo, I'm not quite there yet. And then that fork, you pretty much just go ahead and remove it with the 17 at the bottom of the control arm. Boom, this thing comes right out. But I wanted to also show you how easy it is to swap these springs out. It's not really a big deal. So really what you're gonna do is, there is a small Allen key that actually just takes this adjustment knob off. There's an O-ring under there, so don't lose the O-ring. And then after that, you're pretty much just gonna zap this 17 off. The whole top hat's gonna come off, and then swap springs. I already measured out the preload for the current 7-inch spring that's in there. That's the Fortune-Auto spring, right? So when I put this in, it's gonna give it the same 1/4-inch preload. So there's nothing that I need to do there. Just take this off and put it back in. So no big deal. And to show you how easy it is, I'm actually gonna have my assistant AJ, aka my daughter, go ahead and do it for me. So I'll show you that in the B-roll coming up now. So as you guys just saw, my daughter just did it. Pretty simple process. It's not that hard. Don't be too scared to take time to go ahead and try to figure it out on your guys' own. It's really not that hard. So there it is. The Hyperco spring is on it. So we just have to do this 4 more times. Obviously the rear is a little more complicated. The rear is gonna be just a little more complicated because there's just more things to remove to even just get to it. The front's so much easier than the rear, to be honest with you. So with the help of my daughter here, we're gonna go ahead and put this back in. And then after that, we'll go ahead and take it on a test drive and see if there's any real world driving impressions I can give you and see how that kind of works out. So let's go ahead and get this done. Put that camera down and let's keep working. So as I showed you guys in that quick B-roll, while I drop parts, these are just the collars that go on the bottom. My daughter was able to go ahead and swap the coils pretty easily. Again, guys, don't be afraid to get out there and work on your own car. It's quite simple. Anything you take off, just put it back in the reverse order. Not that hard. I'm definitely no genius here or any master mechanic or anything like that. But I will say quite easy. She was able to do that while I was working on something else. The Hyperco Cygnus Performance coated and branded springs are on. The front ones were blue, the rear ones were black. That's okay. It was just a different order that I had to get for the fronts. The way I came up with the 16K, 9K combination, obviously I talked to a lot of track TSX guys out here in Southern California, mainly Tony Jackson and a couple other dudes that really take their tracking of their TSX seriously. Some of the guys that do the VTEC club out here. And 15K, 16K, 9K is consistently like the general answer they gave me. Another thing that while I was back there, I went ahead and decided I'll go ahead and replace the rear sway bar end links with new ones. And while I was back there, see if you can see this camera lady. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap the stock 15mm sway bar with this 22mm Progress rear sway bar. I do know that they make a 24mm also, but from what I understand, this is probably the better of the two choices. Now there are two settings, a neutral and I believe a stiffer setting on this. I'll find out which one is which. Usually the one towards the rear, I believe, is the more softer setting. So I streaked the car, so that's probably what I'm gonna go with. But as you can see, compared to the stock sway bar, yeah, definitely spaghetti noodle compared to fettuccine noodle right here. I'll tell you that much. Same thing with my B13 spaghetti noodle sway bar. If there's any B13 guys watching this video, swap out your sway bar, bro. I mean, got these Raceland coilovers and the stock sway bar. Swap your rear sway bar, great mod. Guys, so the one thing I did forget to mention is when you remove the rear sway bar, you do have to drop the exhaust and remove the hangers from the exhaust. You don't have to disconnect it or anything like that, so don't be scared or perplexed on how to figure that out. It really is just a matter of you going ahead and removing those rubber hangers and then bringing it down. What you can do is you could WD-40 them or lithium grease them so it's easier to slide them back over the ends and slide them back out if you ever need to do it again. So that's the one thing I did forget to mention. And back to the video. Alright guys, so now for the test drive. Actually, I've been test driving it for quite a couple of days now. It's been, I'd say about a week and a half at this point. So since then, what I've done is I did get new tires. As I showed you guys, my RE71Rs were corded, so it was time for new tires for sure. So I went ahead and got something with more tread wear. I got some Firestone Firehawk Indy 500s, which are pretty much rebranded Bridgestone Potenza RE003s, I believe. Those are 320 treadwear, great tires. I've had them before. They're quiet, they're smooth, they last quite a long time. So if you guys want to look into a budget tire, I did get them in 255 40/17, which is what fits on my 17x9 plus 49 or 47, I forget, TC 105 wheels, square all around, just in case you guys are gonna ask the question. So did that and did nothing else. So I haven't changed any suspension settings or anything like that. But one thing I've noticed is, and I know the question is it worth the $350 that the Hyperco springs will cost you for a set of 4? And I'll always say yes, right? Any upgrade is a good upgrade. You may not understand it. You may not say, well, maybe it's not worth it for me. Standard springs will work just fine. And that's completely true. Standard springs are completely fine. From Fortune-Auto, the standard springs are completely perfectly fine for a daily driver. I will not say they aren't. And even for light track duty, if you're going to track the car maybe once a year or something like that, sure, standard springs are going to work out for you. In my case, I'm always looking to add that little more wherever I can. So one thing I've noticed is these springs settle a lot faster. I noticed that the car would hit the dip, come back, and then there'd be little waves after that, right? With these springs, I've noticed it does it once and then settles. So it goes down and then settles. So that's one big characteristic difference that I've noticed with the Hyperco springs. And that's something I also noticed with the Swift springs, to be honest with you. So that's one thing I've noticed. Ride quality is improved. I will say that. The car does feel more supple, but yet if you throw it into a corner, or again, if it hits a dip, you see it react much different. So you would feel like it's gonna actually Cadillac it, right? Like it's gonna just keep floating over things. But it does just, once it hits a dip, it just settles. Obviously, this is, again, really bumpy portion of the 405. Again, if you like videos like this, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell below so you know when we post videos. I don't post videos as often as I used to. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Peace.